Let me show you what spirits wear. I'll begin with God. Psalm 104 verse 1 and 2. See what God wears, the father of all spirits, so that you understand where I'm going to. Bless the Lord, oh my soul. Oh Lord my God, thou art very great. Thou art clothed with honor and majesty. Are you following this? Go to the next verse. Who covered thyself with light as with a garment? Who stretched out the heavens like a curtain? What does God cover himself with? Light, like a garment. That's the glory. So every spirit wears glory. This is why 1 Timothy 6:16, the Bible said, God dwells in light that is unapproachable. If you enter the spirit and you don't have glory, you'll be naked. And the level of honor and majesty you will command is a function of the measure of glory that you emit. So majesty and honor in the spirit realm is reflected. It's reflected in the similitude of glory. That's why I say God wears glory and majesty. He said he covers himself with glory. So the honor and majesty of God is tied to the light that comes out of God. So if God stands here, all of us will be like darkness because of the brilliance. One of the ways you distinguish Jesus from angel is the intensity of his brightness. Those who have seen God, you can't look at him. The brightness will blind you. If God shows up here, the weight and the intensity of his glory, you will faint and you will be blinded, because that is what spirits wear. And it's not only God, even angels wear glory. Revelation chapter 10 verse 1. And I saw another mighty angel come down from heaven, clothed with a cloud, and a rainbow was upon his head, and his face was as it were the sun, his feet as pillars of fire. Every time you meet a spirit being, the garment he will always wear will be the glory. Go and read Ezekiel chapter 1 and 2 and see when Ezekiel described God. He was brighter than the sun at his strength. Read Revelation chapter 1. See how Jesus was described. It was illumination of different propensity, because the garment of spirits is glory. And so when we are transformed into our celestial nature, we will be expected to put on our garment. And the quality of garment we have will be the quality of how we trade with the basis of reward itemized in scripture. As touching your glory in eternity, three things are a must. Number one is intimacy. Anybody who does not have intimacy with God, if you see him in the spirit, he will be dull in brightness. He will be dull. And that's how demons recognize people who carry God. See, when a demonic spirit shows up here, if you like be shouting, he's not moved. He will weigh your brightness, and he can tell the quality of your Christian life, because your illumination can tell whether you are a man of honor and majesty or somebody who is still struggling with shame. It is your covering. This is why we must labor in intimacy. 2 Corinthians chapter 5 from verse 1 to 5. See what Paul said. The patriarchs knew these secrets, and this is why their lives were heavy on the altar, because they knew this thing was not just about solving problems. They knew this thing is not just about getting answer. What you wear when the world comes to an end is a function of how deep you are journeyed with God. It said, for we know that our earthly house of this tabernacle were dissolved. We have a building of God, and house not made with hand, eternal in the heavens. If this body is removed, it said there is another thing that will wear. It says it's not made of hands, it is made in heaven. How do you now get clothed with those things? It said, for in this we groan, earnestly desiring to be clothed upon with our house which is in heaven. So Paul is telling us there is a connection between your labor of intimacy and the measure of that garment that you wear. Does it not surprise you that Moses in Exodus 34:29 to 30, he went up to Mount Sinai and he was there for 40 days praying and fasting? Suddenly the same man who went up was descending. Nobody could look at his eyes anymore. What has happened? Transfiguration has taken place. They had to cover his face with a lot of veils, because when you engage in intimacy, something happens about the glory economy. Intimacy. Jesus, the same happened with him. Luke 9:28 to 29. The Bible said after 6 days, he took 3 of his disciples and they went to the mountain. He said, and as he prayed, he told you what he was doing. As he prayed, he said the fashion of his countenance was altered. His raiment began to glister. So every time you engage in intimacy, you are transacting in the corridor of glory. This is why we must make it a lifestyle. And so when you get to Zion, the credit and the bandwidth of your intimacy will be remembered, and that will become the basis for which you will be given the measure of glory that you carry. Can you interact with a glory that you are not familiar with? No, you can't. And so the first thing that provokes glory is the level of intimacy.